Hello, I'm Mark O'Connor, and I'm joined by my global co-chairs of DLA Piper's tech sector from the US, Erin Gibson and Trent Dykes. Erin and Trent, well, as in prior years, we've surveyed over 350 senior leaders at European tech companies to get their thoughts on a variety of issues and concerns on the state of the tech sector in 2022 and beyond. It's a kind of crystal ball gazing exercise, if you will, and the results are in. And the results are indicative of trends we're seeing not only in Europe, but globally as well. As you probably recall, coverage of the survey includes a wide range of topics, including tech M&A, digital transformation, 5G, AI, cybersecurity, enterprise cloud, and so forth. And the index looks at the extent to which the European tech sector is well served by concerns such as the tax regime, the extent of regulation, the protection of IP, access to funds, and of course, talent. And you boil those together and get an overall tech index score, which we can then use as a baseline for trend data back across the last decade and to look ahead to what's in store. Erin, if I can come to you first, please. As a patent litigator that works with many companies in the US that have got operations around the world and in Europe, of course, was there anything in particular in the report that really stood out to you?
Thanks, Mark. One thing that really stood out to me was that European tech companies expressed such confidence in the market and that the current economic environment would continue to support growth in the tech sector despite increasing regulation. Many here in the US, of course, see regulation as a hurdle to innovation. Along those lines, just recently, we reported on how Congress is mulling potential new legislation to police and perhaps license social media companies.
So, yeah, it's really interesting that, isn't it? A lot of optimism. The index really does indicate an increased level of optimism from previous surveys overall with regard to the market, notwithstanding those concerns.
Yes, and a majority of respondents said expected their revenue to increase over the next 12 months, despite the weakening economic outlook and despite lingering concerns over long-term effects of the pandemic. The technology industry, of course, we've thrived over the last 2 years, but it's unclear if that momentum is sustainable.
Interesting. That sense of continuing confidence perhaps indicates that, as you mentioned there, the pandemic, some important lessons have been learned by businesses that have navigated well the recent uncertain times. We are now seeing nervousness, though, aren't we, for likely recession? We're seeing high interest rates, and that does really highlight a key distinction that perhaps comes out in the index between B2B and B2C. Businesses are confident, and that's what our respondents are telling us in the tech sector, but consumers are reducing their spending. There's a cost of living crisis spurred by spiraling energy bills. Now, bringing you in, Trent, of course, you work with many tech companies on their M&A transactions around the world. I'd love to get your thoughts on the survey findings relating in particular to acquisitions.
Yes. What jumped out to me was that there continues to be a lot of parallels between Europe and the US in terms of reasons for pursuing acquisitions. The survey shows that the top motivating factor for acquisitions was the access to new technology. And the biggest change in motivating factors was increased demand for access to additional talent.
So perhaps it's showing us that making acquisitions to gain access to key tech, which you, I guess, otherwise have to develop yourself, continues to be a really quick way to gain market share and hopefully boost revenue.
Yeah, whether a company needs to transform its capabilities, supply chains, or go-to-market approach, the market's impatient, and one of the fastest ways to accelerate transformation is through mergers and acquisitions. Geopolitical factors are key, for example, stemming from China-US relations. The chip shortage has hit hard. JP Morgan and others point to political tensions between the US and China, the Delta variant hitting Asia deeply, and production demands for electrical vehicles and IoT devices regaining pre-pandemic levels. As a result, we saw the August US CHIP Act pumping $52 billion into the US economy to boost local production. We should anticipate a ripple effect alongside all of this with also the ban on AI machine learning related chips into China.
Well, this has been great. There's a lot to unpack here and further to unpack in the tech index itself. Thank you both for taking time to provide your insights. Any last thoughts before we end, Erin?
Just to say excellent work here. We're excited to share this report with our clients. And of course, we welcome any of them to reach out to us, or of course you, Mark, if they have any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, for more insights, do please visit the tech index itself and read the full report at dlapiper.com.